That is crazy. Can't believe you have that at 7.
I
Wow.
know. I know you don't agree with that, and that's fine.
Hello and welcome back to Mark Weston Film Reviews. Today we are going to be ranking all of Nolan's films, all 13, including the Odyssey. And today I am joined by Alan Hewitt. He is a film director, producer, and photographer based in Los Angeles, California. He has directed multiple short films and worked on a handful of feature films, and is now producing short form episodic content for family theater productions in Hollywood. Alan, welcome to the show.
Good to be with you, Mark. Thanks for having me on. I remember we did something like this a couple years ago, and we were both still in school. So I'm curious to see how things have updated since then. Although I'm not going to lie, I don't remember what I said the last time that we did this.
Yeah, we did a Nolan film ranking before podcast in a studio, which was pretty fun. I think that is still on Spotify. I feel like the first few we might be close to on the same page, but it'll be interesting to see where the differences are between our lists.
Very much so. Yeah, I am curious. I know I have some hot takes in here, so there's gonna be dissent there for sure. But I'm curious about I mean obviously I'm curious about number one, but I'm curious about what you've put in between the very bottom and the very top. Because I feel like very bottom is gonna be pretty close for us. I have an idea of what you've put in the top, just maybe not exact not like placings.
Mm.
But it's the middle section that I think we're gonna be all over the place. We'll see though. We'll see.
Yeah, I know. I'm fairly certain my top half has changed since last time. But
Mine has.
yeah, let's get right into it. Starting at number 13, I have the following.
Okay, fantastic. I guess we saw different movies because I just have following, but I also have that at number 13. Um, and I'm not surprised. I actually think when we did this a few years ago, you I think we all matched on that was number 13 or the bottom.
Yeah, yeah, and I think for me it's just it was his first film, no budget, a little shaky literally with the camera work, but it was a good story. Good story is what got him on the map, and like that's been true for most of his films. That he has good, great stories even. Um, but as far as maybe rewatchability for me, it's just not really there.
Rewatchability is something I was taking into consideration in a special way this time ranking the movies because it's so hard, and we'll get into that. But following, I'm going to be completely honest, is the one I remember the least. I know we watched it for class, and I don't know if I had other things going on that day, if I was tired, whatever, but I do remember that movie's kind of like a fog in my brain. So just full disclosure for that. But I also remember it had like the makings of the things that make Nolan Nolan, just not done as notably and as well, kind of thought out as it would get to be in his other movies, which just makes sense. I mean, he was done for cheaper. It was his first film, like you said. But I do remember like the intersecting storylines, kind of the sleight of hand, the way he used his time. That was all there, just kind of stripped a little bit more bare. So I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's a
kind
really
of
impressive debut.
the baby steps of his, or what have become some of the hallmark themes and characteristics of his films.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. It was always there.
Yeah, and my number 12 is kind of like the, the almost the peak of some of Nolan's characteristics.
Okay,
And
I'm
so
curious.
my number 12 is Memento.
Oh my golly. Okay, so that's interesting because Memento is the one he did after following, and yeah, for what he it's very core for Nolan in the sense that that movie took time and in a very clear, specific kind of simple way, though, completely, literally, like flipped it on its head. Um, so I see what you're saying, but I thought you might match up with me because what you were saying there was making me think you're right. Because my number 12 is Tenet. And I feel
Ah,
like if following was the baby steps of Nolan being Nolan, Tenet was like Nolan being Nolan, but to the extent of like nose up, highbrow, spectacles on, like, very much Nolan. I don't want to say he was being like prestigious beyond what he's done in other movies, but it was so complex and so complicated and felt like it was him to the nth degree. And I don't know that it paid off in
mhm.
the way it's paid off in other movies. So I put it as number 12. Admittedly, I've only seen it the one time. I did enjoy it. I've enjoyed every one of Nolan's movies. There's none on here that I would say are bad. But I do have to put it at number 12 because I think it's a little bit of a mess.
Mhm. Okay, that's interesting. I think maybe rewatchability plays a bit of a role with my choice in Memento as well. Um, it's
Mm.
just it's hard for me to watch a film that kind of makes you feel like like Memento makes you feel. Um, and then
Well, how does it make you
like
feel?
just so like I don't know, gross, like kind of almost delirious, like fever dream type.
Uh,
Yeah, just
mm,
something that
okay.
comes back in Insomnia in a way. Like that's Insomnia is one of the most like palpable films I've ever watched because it
Mm.
makes literally makes you feel like you have insomnia. But
Yeah. We'll
yeah,
get
I
there when we get
mean
there. But
that's
yeah,
interesting. We've already split ways
we've already
2 films
dissented.
in.
It's already begun. But no, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I can't say that Memento makes me feel that way. I get the feeling I think that you're talking about. I've watched movies where I'm like, I feel grimy after this. Memento, uh, there might be a little bit of that in that movie, but I think there's so much just kind of like brain candy going on with the way that that story is structured. And I also think that the story is structured in a really smart way, given that the character does have memory loss. It's such a cool way to experience that when you come into the story and everything before is wiped out, but then like you start piecing the puzzle back together retrospectively. I just thought was always super smart. So we'll get there when we get there. I'm saying too much, but yeah, number 12 is Tenet for me.
Awesome. Number 11, Alan, would you like to give your pick?
Oh, I'll go. Everybody ever, except for a few people. Well, no, there's enough people. It's a big enough movie that it has a lot of dissenting opinions. But I am sad. It hurts my heart a little bit to say that number 11 is the Odyssey for me.
Ooh,
Um,
wow.
but I would like to have put this higher on the list, and I would like to think that it will graduate to a higher point on this list. I am planning on rewatching it. I have seen it once, and I enjoyed the experience. I had too many problems with it to justify putting it any higher on this list, but I want to see it again. I want to see it again and see if that changes. I was comparing a lot of this movie to the poem, and
Mm.
I've heard that if you watch it less as Homer's Odyssey and more as Nolan's Odyssey, and you're able to make that separation, you can appreciate it more. I have a bit of a struggle with that concept, but I kind of want to try it and see if things change.
Yeah, that is very true. People who ask me my thoughts on it, I tell them, if you haven't read the poem, you may love it. But
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's
you probably will.
I think that's usually true for adaptations, especially adaptations of
That's a good point.
things that are so popular. Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
being a prime example of that. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so that's a very interesting pick for number 11. My
Yeah.
my
Well, now I'm
my
curious to see where you put it.
yeah, well, my choice is maybe going to be an unpopular one for a lot of people. But here it is. It's The Dark Knight Rises.
I kind of thought you would say that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
of the three
Okay.
Batman films, like to begin with, it's a superhero film, so it's a bit more difficult for me to put those up against the Insomnias and the Interstellars of Nolan's filmography. But of the three Batman films, it's the least memorable, I would say.
Okay.
I think it has the least compelling villain, and the least compelling acting. Uh, so, yeah,
Hmm.
and I think
Okay.
the stories and the cinematography and the acting of all of Nolan's other films just outweigh it tremendously.
Okay. I mean, I think a lot of people would probably agree with you that out of the three Dark Knight movies, Rises um, tends to fall to third place. I mean, it's probably between Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises as to which one people think is the third place, but I think, yeah, I'll get to it when I put it on my list. But I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 10. Number 10, I have Tenet.
Okay, so not too far from where I put it. It's two
Not too
higher.
far, not too far. Yeah, I think I give maybe more credence to the rewatchability of this than Memento and The Dark Knight
Mm.
Rises. I think it's a bit more enjoyable for me, at least. I think the 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 themes that he plays with time is very interesting. I find it very interesting to try to understand it. Um, Unlike a
Yeah,
lot of
it's a
people that
brain pull.
just think it's like nonsensical and Nolan doesn't know what he's talking about, and the film is a waste of brain space. But um, I enjoy it a lot. I think the protagonist is fun, and the all the side characters are fun. I love seeing Michael Caine in pretty much anything. But yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, to me, that cast of characters is one of his least compelling casts of characters, which is another reason it's low on my list. And it's nothing against the actors. I enjoy watching those actors. It's just the characters to me are kind of thinly written. It was a fun time though. I mean, I enjoyed it in the theaters. I just, yeah, there's not enough of it coming together for me to put it up higher. Very valid points, good sir. Number 10. Yeah, we're at number 10. Um, Mine is Insomnia. I
Ooh.
have this one at number 10. The way you're talking, I think you have it considerably higher, but we'll find out. I mean, I really like Insomnia. Again, like, none of these are bad movies. They're all so good, and it gets really nitpicky the further you go down. But rewatchability that we were talking about, this is not a Nolan movie that I like want to come back to watch many times over. I've seen it a few times and it's good, and I love how he portrays, like you were saying, the feeling of insomnia in this movie. It's really captured well. He grounds you in perspective in his movies so well for the most part, I would say, and I think this is a great showcase of that. And it's one of Nolan's less flashy movies. It's a little bit colder in like literal setting, in color, in tone, and maybe that's part of the reason it's not as rewatchable for me. But the cast is great. Robin Williams is a villain I'm not like 100% sold on, but I still like watching Robin Williams. This one is probably one of his more straightforward films while still using a really clear kind of moral dilemma and mysterious aspect of like what's the actual truth here. You're in an unreliable perspective, but it doesn't feel complicated. At least to me, I think Insomnia is easier to follow than many of his movies, while still kind of playing with the idea of I'm not entirely sure what's true and what's not true. So I really admire it. I don't desire to watch it many times over. So that's why it's number 10.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I will talk about it now because it is my number 9.
Okay. All right.
So not far off. I love this film. It's like I said, it's um, a film that gives me like a visceral reaction watching it. It's
Mm.
just so well done. It makes me feel as though I have insomnia, which is kind of the whole premise of it, with
Yeah.
him feeling as though he's losing his mind. But um, yeah, it for those reasons. Robin Williams, I love him in this. I love seeing him in serious roles. I think it's so refreshing. Like his comedy, he's pretty funny, but I'm not I'm not super into like the Jim Carrey comedy, the Robin Williams comedy. It's a little too slapstick for
Mm.
me.
Okay.
So like being able to see him in something like this, I think is great. And like the mystery of the film is fun to try to piece together. And like you said, it is more subdued. It's more straightforward, like you said. And I really enjoy that about it. It's kind of like the most contained, one of the most contained Nolan films. Um,
Yeah,
and
that's true.
it's interesting looking at his filmography from a 30,000 feet view, that the number of different genres he's hit so far.
Mm.
That's yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is interesting. I feel like Nolan is almost a genre in and of himself. Even when he's doing a different kind of genre, it's Nolanified, you know? That's how I felt watching Oppenheimer, and we'll get there when we get there. Um, but yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Really quick, Mark, I've lost some light because I think the sun went behind my building. Do you want me to adjust my settings?
No, I think you're chilling. Yeah,
Okay. I just noticed I have so much more shadow now, but if you need me to fix something, I can try.
no worries. Um,
Okay.
sweet. Yeah, you're on number 9. Good sir.
Number 9. Want me to go for it, or you're taking it away? Oh, you already did your number 9. I'm still thinking because mine Insomnia was my number 10. Okay. Well, number 9. Mine is Memento. So
Wow.
I really like this film. It is again very core for Nolan, partially because it's so early on in his career, and partially because it's really what put him on the map and kind of set him off for everything he would do after this. And of course, it's the iconic movie that was told in reverse. I just think it's so fun. It's got a great energy to it throughout. It's very kinetic. It's got this really cool kind of like a mystery aspect to it that is one of those where at the beginning it doesn't really feel like a mystery, but the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, and that's just kind of the fun of the chase of this movie. So yeah, I think this is a movie that is pretty rewatchable, but not his most rewatchable. Um, and although it doesn't give me maybe the feeling you were saying it gave you, it is less. I'm gonna say cathartic maybe, or maybe it's less enjoyable on the levels that some of the films coming up are enjoyable to me, even though I think it's technically excellent and maybe even better than some of the films on a technical level that I'm gonna bring up, but on a personal enjoyment level I think it's just a little lower on the list. But it's a great movie, and yeah, it's very very core, very Nolan core.
And number 8, I've got Batman Begins. This one I think is a bit more memorable than the Dark Knight Rises. The villain being the person that trained him, I think is a nice touch, and so many
Spoiler
great
alert.
action. Oh, spoiler alert! And the I mean, amazing action scenes, the train, everything just like comes together to make a wild ride. But yeah,
Yeah, it is a wild ride. It is a memorable one. You should put a spoiler disclaimer all over this video. Just be like, hey, we weren't thinking about spoilers when we went into this. So, like, we're just hoping you've seen. I don't even know how many spoilers we've said so far. Maybe not many, but we might say more. So, um, I'm just. I'm just gonna put that out there as a disclaimer and not apologize. But
we
um,
don't.
at 8, I also have a Batman film, but
Oh,
not the same Batman film. I have The Dark Knight Rises, So I'm like you. I have it at the bottom of the three. I put it at number 8 because all three of these films are very, well, yeah, I would say they're core to me in a certain sense. Not core in the sense of saw them when I was super young and like grew up with them, but when I saw them, I was getting more fascinated with movies and movie making. And I think just at the age I was, my imagination was kind of in that phase to like run wild with things. And these were so stimulating for me in like the best way. And so I love all three of the Batman movies. It's just a very cool like time period in my mind canon. And The Dark Knight Rises, I do think it probably bites off a little more than it can chew. It's a little bit overlong. And I think for those reasons, it's not as poignant of a Batman film as the other two in the trilogy, but I still really like it. It's got, to me, good rewatchability. It's great, some great action sequences, and all things considered, I think it is a great conclusion to the trilogy. It's not a perfect conclusion to the trilogy. And again, I think there's more holes you can poke in this movie, which is why I'm putting it the bottom of the three Batman movies. But I still really love it. And that's partially a personal thing. Um, but I mean, all of this is going to be so. Yeah, I think number 8 is a comfortable spot for it. I don't know that it deserves higher, but I wouldn't put it lower for now.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm surprised you put it higher than like a couple of those. Memento, maybe. I mean,
Yeah,
Insomnia.
again, I could probably say Memento is a tighter film than The Dark Knight Rises. Um, I would definitely say it's a tighter film, but it's just I love his Batman trilogy, and it's I think it boosts it a little bit, you know.
Hmm.
I love that world. His Gotham is so great to me. I just love that world so much.
So moving on to number 7,
Uh,
I have the Odyssey.
okay, this is so interesting. I guess this makes sense because you haven't said it yet, but I did not think the Odyssey was going to be this high on your list.
No, uh, it
No.
was. It was. Yeah, I don't know. I, like you, was extremely frustrated with the departure from the source material. That
Uh-huh.
being said, if you can separate yourself and look at it through the lens of this is a Nolan Odyssey, then I think there's a lot more fruit and a lot more grace that can be given to it. So that's what I
Mhm.
that's what I did here. Uh, I
Yeah.
still think like obviously technically it's an amazing film. Uh, the visuals are superb. The
Mm.
Cyclops, the Cersei scene was just
Oh my gosh,
horrific,
standout. Absolute standout scene.
just incredible. And there were, there was the acting was not great. I will say. Um, I
I
think
don't think
Pattinson.
the acting was so bad as people say. I think the script was probably more the issue.
I think it was a double edged sword there, but of
Perhaps,
all
yeah.
the of all the cast, I think Pattinson and Leguizamo had the most stellar performances of the film.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just and the themes even that he chose to go with, which weren't necessarily in the original poem, but we're still
Yeah.
like pretty good themes. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't know. It's just I think it does enough to get it this high on my list at least, considering the films that were involved in this ranking that I put lower. But yeah, number 7.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear it's that high for you. I want it to be higher on my list. And I'm sure many people would argue it should be higher. I think it's lovable and outstanding for all of the obvious reasons. Like all the reasons I would expect a Nolan film to be. It looks fantastic. The theater experience is fantastic. It's paced ruthlessly. It's put together very well. Um, it's an outstanding cast, probably too outstanding of a cast in my opinion. Um, and I think for those reasons, you can really enjoy it. I think again, I had a really hard time separating it from the source material, and so all the little changes, I was like, "Oh, that's different. That's different." But my biggest issue, dude, is just I couldn't get behind his interpretation of Odysseus. And Odysseus is the main character. And I don't have anything against Matt Damon as an actor, but I never liked him cast as Odysseus. And unfortunately, watching the movie, I was confirmed in that I didn't like him cast as Odysseus. I saw Matt Damon, and I didn't like the interpretation of an Odysseus that just doesn't feel cunning and clever and pompous and he just so like larger than life. Like I got kind of this guy that was clearly skilled but was so torn the entire movie and was so kind of tormented that I didn't feel like I had this arc with his character from pompous man who's struggling with his arrogance, and then that is what leads to the destruction of his crew, and that's what leads him to be shipwrecked, and that's what breaks his character down and can give him that dark night of the soul moment. I just didn't get that for his character. I enjoyed watching basically everybody else more than I did Odysseus, and that's just a huge problem, and I don't think a rewatch is going to save that fact. It might, but I think that's, I didn't mention that earlier, but man, I agree with you. The themes are good. I liked the theme of Zeus's law and hospitality and the violation of that coming back to bite them. I think that was really cool, and I don't think he had to lose that, but he also lost the central theme of Odysseus's character, which is that his fatal flaw is he's an arrogant human being. And sometimes that's super fun to watch, like in the Cyclops scene in the original poem, which is better than what they did in the movie, even though the scene in the movie is pretty darn good. But it gives you that sense that he is a cunning guy that you want to root for, and he's fun to watch, but also it's going to be his Achilles heel, even though he's not Achilles. But I lost that in the movie, and it was really hard for me to get past that.
Yeah, again, it's Nolan's Odyssey. It really is. It's tough, but hey, it's,
Yeah, I think he made it understanding where we are in 2026 too. And part of me wishes he had tried to make it a little more timeless and a little less timely. Yeah. But I mean, there's something to knowing the current state of your audience too. And I think that there was probably some wisdom in that.
Yeah.
All that being said, my number 7, this one is certain, I'm sure it's changed from the last time we did this. I'm putting Interstellar as my number 7, which I used to rank higher on this list, and I still think that number 7 is pretty darn good. Again, I'm kind of like mincing garlic here. There's like very fine little separations between these films now.
Oh my goodness.
I'm putting Interstellar at number 7 because over time, as I've watched the movie, its rewatchability has gone down versus other movies ahead of this one that is not quite as rewatchable. But it is an iconic movie with a great scope that doesn't lose sight of its core central emotional story, and it's his most emotionally compelling film. And I think that in and of itself is one of the reasons I hesitate to that. I don't know if it's his most emotionally compelling, but I think it's his most heartfelt, relationship-centered story. And he executes that part really, really well. Over time, the fourth dimension being love thing I've gotten a little jaded on that concept. I think it's a little bit hokey when compared to the scientific rigidity and precision that he is given to the rest of this movie, even though I'm sure a lot of that is wildly speculative and scientists could probably tell me it's doesn't make sense and whatever. But I like most of it, but it has begun to bother me just enough that it has slid in my ranking. I still love the movie. I still think it's great. But it's not as high as it used to be, unfortunately.
All right. That is crazy. Can't believe you have that at 7.
I know you don't agree with that, and that's fine. I anticipated this. I think this probably at one point would have been like 3 or 4 for me, but
okay. Well, here we go. Number 6, I've got Dunkirk. One of those just fun fun films to watch. Very intense. A lot of angst watching it. Um, Multiple timelines. Another one of Nolan's classic tropes. Uh, the the action is great. The just overall feel of it. It just builds on itself. Uh, it takes your heart on a journey. It's just a really enjoyable film to watch, and obviously, I mean, it's almost a given with Nolan. Like the visually, it's amazing. So it's overall the acting is superb. Um, couldn't tell you any of the actors' names in the film, but yeah,
Isn't it great?
it's yeah, it's amazing. Um, yeah,
Okay. I'm glad to hear. I'll get there when I get there, but I'm glad to hear it's as high as number six. I didn't think it was. I thought it would be so low on your list. I'm actually really happy to hear that. My number six is Batman Begins. I think this is one of the best origin superhero movies out there. I think it is so well put together, and it's so compelling throughout. It sets up the world of Gotham so well. It sets up relationships so well. It sets up backstory and current like happenings of Bruce's life so well. I just remember seeing this and thinking this was a different kind of superhero movie. Not because it was doing anything maybe radically different, but it just did what it did so well, while still feeling like it was part of our world and yet an extension of our world, right? Like it wasn't so fantastical as a Marvel movie, but just beyond the curtain enough that like Gotham feels like its own ecosystem that could exist in this world, even though I'm grateful it doesn't. Um, Love this film. I think Scarecrow is not the most compelling villain. Granted, he's not the main villain, which is a good thing, but for a lot of the film, he's kind of driving the antagonism. So minor gripe there, but it's a great film.
awesome. All right, number five. Just it's so tough because all
I
all the
know.
top five films are just amazing,
At this
and
point,
the
at this point,
differences
it's
between
splitting
them
hairs.
are so negligible. But
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
nevertheless, we had to rank them, and we have. And at number five, I've got Oppenheimer. It's
Okay.
it's yeah, such a good film, so beautiful. Um, Killian Murphy is one of the best actors alive. He is just ridiculous. RDJ did
Phenomenal.
so well.
Yeah,
Um, all
so good.
the whole cast was just superb in this, and yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just personal preference at this point between the top five for me, and it's
Yeah,
like on any given day they could all switch around. But
I
yeah,
agree.
that's my number five.
I respect it, very respectable, and I hear exactly what you're saying with things at this point, just being like they could switch at any given day. Um, Honestly, like just a rewatch of one of them might just totally change this list, right? So, my number five is Inception. Um, I think it deserves to be in the top five for how well it's executed, and for again, this is very Nolan core to me. It's I think a lot of people are introduced to Nolan through this movie, or I feel like this is an early watch for a lot of people. This was a little bit of a later watch for me. I had seen a good amount of other Nolan before getting to Inception, so I don't maybe have the attachment that some people do. Maybe that's why it's as low as five. I think a lot of people would. I could be wrong. I feel like a lot of people would put it very high on like top three, maybe. Um, but I mean, it's a masterpiece in the Nolan canon. It works really well for me. You gotta love speculating about the ending. Everybody does. Um, just with like a really iconic soundtrack, iconic cast. It's Nolan doing Nolan really well. Um, but I think it's Nolan doing Nolan really well before falling off the edge that Tenet falls off of. Um, I feel like Nolan is kind of the precursor. I'm sorry, Inception is kind of the precursor to Tenet in my brain for some reason. just like the mission oriented feel of those two movies. But I think Inception holds its ground the entire way, and Tenet buckles a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for it. And I'll continue on Inception because that's my number four. And
Ah,
yeah, like you mentioned, this was the first Nolan film that I watched that way back when.
yeah,
And I love it. It's such a great film. So like interesting. It heightens your imagination. It's just like anything is possible. It's one of those films that just makes you think anything is possible. And
yeah.
yeah, acting was superb.
Yeah, no, it is. It's an iconic movie, um, and yeah, I'm happy to hear that it is close on your list. But my number four is your number five because I put Oppenheimer as number four.
Ah,
Um, this very well may be recency bias, and I feel it's fair to acknowledge that. Um, Oppenheimer, it took me two watches to really get it this high up on the list, but first watch, I knew I liked what I had seen, but wanted to see it again. I saw it again, and it just was like it all fell into place for me. Um, yeah, I think it's one of Nolan's more haunting films, and the haunting of it is executed in a way that it's visually stark at times, but it's also just like thematically so poignant. Um, and I don't know, I feel like it's not trying to be overly so. It just kind of allows itself to be with some very smart direction. And it's a biopic that is cut like a thriller, and it's kind of made me want all other biopics to be that exciting or just know what they are as well as this movie knows what it is. And biopics rarely do that. So it's a unicorn for me because I wish I liked biopics more than I do, but this one hits. It's a Nolan biopic. It's Nolanified. What can I say?
all right. Top three for me.
Ah,
The Dark Knight. Such
hmm.
a good film. If 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 ever there was a ranking for best actors in a Nolan film, I think hands down Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Oh,
Just
everybody would agree.
amazing. The
Yeah.
most simultaneously liked and hated villain in
Oh,
any superhero canon is just
yeah.
amazing. Everything about it is just uh superb. Yeah.
It is. It is indeed. We can't argue there. But I will argue that it's not my number three. My number three is The Prestige. This
Interesting.
film is, yeah, I think I know where it is for you. But this film I remember so well watching this back home with a buddy of mine, and it was like a summer night or something, and it was dark, and it almost when I finished watching this movie, I almost felt like I had watched a horror film. Like it kind of felt like if I had the lights off in the house, I would get like goosebumps the way I would if I had just watched a horror film, and I don't know exactly why, but it was kind of like haunting and mysterious, but also like so wildly satisfying to watch this movie trick you in the way like you want to be tricked. Even though my friend and I saw the twist ending coming, and that still didn't like take us out of the experience. It was still so satisfying seeing it all pulled off the way it was. And watching this movie again, you just get more out of it a second time. You pick up on new things, and yeah, and maybe thematically it's not as poignant as some of his other films, but as a movie, being a movie with so many of Nolan's just amazing tenets, huh? Just like the way it's cut, the way timelines are interspliced that keep you kind of like engaged and thinking in a way that you don't with a lot of other movies. It's such an immersive experience. And I mean, the movie is in fact a magic trick, and I think it's brilliant. Yeah,
So well said. And I'll just once again continue on because The Prestige is in fact my number two.
okay, I thought it would be your number one.
Ooh, no, no, no. And but like
I
you
don't know. Well,
said,
now I know, but
like you said, rewatchability really is the magic trick for this film. It's the more you watch, the more you get out of it. And
yeah,
Nolan's writing to make that happen was just insane. Um, and yeah, the acting, the magic trick itself, just so fun. While being also super dark and disturbing,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like it's yeah, it's just such a in a weird way enjoyable film to watch.
yeah. Yeah, it does have kind of that heavy feeling. It's pretty dark. It's pretty sad, but it's sad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can guess what your number two is, but why don't you go ahead and say it?
Why don't you guess? Why don't you guess? Let's see if you're right.
Dunkirk.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, let's go.
This one again, I think this is a wildly unpopular opinion, probably because I think when it comes to Nolan films, Dunkirk is probably not the one you think of. I think it's very Nolan, but to me, this is like Nolan distilled down into like a pure little vessel. And it's not overly flashy, but it still has ruthless pacing, amazing score, this on the edge of your seat tension the entire way, which is largely fueled by the other very Nolan thing, which is he's got three timelines going on at the same time. They all operate within different amounts of time, and so they all converge together, which is just wildly satisfying. But it was such a creative way to keep the heartbeat of this movie going and ramping up as the movie goes forward. And this is just such a beautiful depiction of humanity. Like you said, like I don't know, like hardly any of the actors in this movie. I can think of a couple that are notable, but it's such a movie that relies on an ensemble cast of people trying to survive, trying to rescue, and putting it all on the line to help like people and country. And I just it fills me with so much hope. To me, it's very emotionally compelling. And the main character of this movie is the score. The score is just brilliant. It's just such a wonderful movie that I can't really find anything wrong with. So it's so and I just massively enjoy it. But I know it's probably a bit of a hot take, but that's okay. I'll stand by
I second everything you said. Was Cillian
it.
Murphy in that?
Except for apparently it's not number two. Cillian
Hey,
Murphy's in it. Yeah,
yeah. So that must have been
yeah.
maybe his first Nolan film. I can't really remember, but
That no, he had done the Dark Knight trilogy already.
right, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the final film in the ranking. Number
Mhm.
one, the big dog.
Yeah.
Would you like the honors?
To say mine first. Okay.
Yes.
Well, mine's The Dark Knight. And listen, it's just a darn near perfect movie. And I mean, basically for everything you've already said, so I don't have too much more to add except that this is just oh man. I mean, I hear the theme of this movie and it's just like play it again. Like just put this movie on again. It's just so good. And I mean, there's too much to say. There's too much to say. But yeah, core again for me watching this was like, wow, this is what a superhero movie could be. And at the same time, it's almost not a superhero movie. It's so morally complex that it it's almost not satisfying in the way that certain superhero movies are satisfying, and yet it becomes its whole other thing that I think is just as important. And I don't think every superhero movie should be like that. I think we need our cut and dry good guys too. But there's something about this movie, man. This just it feels real. Again, it feels real in a really heightened way. Um and just yeah, it's got one of the best villain cat and mouse games you're ever gonna see on the screen, man. It's great.
So true. Yeah, it's such a great film, and yeah, like the trilogy would be nothing without it. Well, maybe not nothing, but
But it
certainly
is the
not
tentpole. I
complete.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's funny the number two movie of a trilogy is the one that kind of makes it as herald, like, as lauded as it is. But
Yeah,
here we are.
definitely. And yeah, I mean, if you haven't guessed by now, my number one is Interstellar. This is
Not
just
surprised.
one of the most beautiful films, visually and story wise. Sacrifice, familial bonds being broken, just such a heart wrenching film. And I'm a sucker for sci-fi and adventure films, and
Mm,
this is kind of the encapsulation of all those, uh, going on the grand adventure to be a hero and discovering new horizons that like no one will ever see, and uh, bringing it back in the end. I get what you're saying about the fourth dimension, but um, to me, it kind of works if you just, I guess, let yourself get lost in the film. Um, and I think that's maybe the case for a few of Nolan's films. You just have to let yourself kind of get carried away, and but yeah, I think Matthew McConaughey just gives an incredible
mm,
performance. Um, the
absolutely.
sets were just ridiculous. I saw recently they filmed some of the scenes with Matt Damon in a parking lot because there was some issue with their set. But yeah, no, it's for me. It's just it has the nostalgia. It has the sci-fi draw. It's I've said this in the reverse a few times, but it's like a serious Project Hail Mary. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, no,
mm.
it's just a great film. Yeah, I don't know.
It is a great film, and I know you love it, so I'm not surprised.
And the score, but
The score is great. It is one of the most iconic Nolan scores. It's true.
definitely. Well, I know you gotta go, so thank you for joining me
Yeah.
to rank Nolan's updated filmography. If you enjoyed this ranking, subscribe for more like this and more film reviews. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Share it with another Nolan fan, and I will see you next week.